So in Ecclesiastes 3:14 it says, I know that whatever God does, it endures forever. Nothing can be added to it, nor anything taken from it. And God does it so that men will reverently fear him, revere and worship him, knowing that he is. Wow. Everything God does endures forever. Nothing can be added to it or taken away from it. Whatever God is doing in this season, you can trust it will endure forever. It will endure the test of time. I look at the experiences in my life, and so many times I've come up against really hard things. I mean, the first time I was hospitalized was as a child, and I remember not knowing what was going on, being in the hospital for like 2 weeks, I believe it was, and not being able to see my siblings, just being in a room, having to be protected and safe from everybody else. And it was a lot of questioning, but it was the first opportunity I had to put my trust in God, to understand he was bigger than what I was facing. And those moments can be so powerful if you look at them from eyes of faith, going, God, it doesn't have to make sense to me for it to make sense to you. And whatever you're bringing out of it, I can trust that there's an ultimate good from it because you are good. And you will always line up with your character. My experiences, my circumstances in the midst of them, they don't have to feel good to know that somehow they'll be good on the other side of it, because that's your character. That's who you are, and I can trust that character. I remember having our house burned down, and again, God's character showed up as he protected me from being in that fire and losing my life. Over and over again, I can look and I can go, God, wow, your character has always been to protect me, to love me, to use me, to set me aside, to take the things of my life and mold me into who you desired me to be. So now I look back with eyes of faith going, God, I like who I see. I like who came out of that. I love the woman who developed through those hard times, through being homeless, through wondering if the electricity was going to be turned off again, wondering if we were going to have food in the fridge. Like, all of these things mold and develop your character. They make you into who you are so you can stand the test of time, so you can speak boldly and loudly and courageously saying, my God shows up. He shows up and he shows off, and he's never wavered in that. Waiting on him, knowing that everything will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it, nothing taken from it, because God is a God you can trust. There is no one else in this world that you can trust like him. There's order to what he does. In Genesis 1:16, it says that he set the stars in the expanse of the sky. He set them there. Every single one. You're talking billions of stars. Scientists haven't even been able to come up with how many stars there are. God physically took the time to set them in place. And then you see in Psalms and in Job where he talks about naming those stars. Naming stars that with the human eye we'll never see. But God took the time to name them. Don't you think if he cares that much about the stars that we may never see with our human eye, that he cares that much more about the details of our lives? That he knows and he names those things, that he uses those things, that he's shaping us from those things? Oh, you are much more precious to him than a star. And in his universe, you shine like a star through your experience, through your circumstances, because as you are pressed down like an olive in an olive oil press, that juice of his love comes flowing out of you, his goodness. So it may get tough. You may be pressed down. You may be shaken a little bit, but God is stirring and he is doing, and the juices of his love are going to come out of that and ooze out of you in such a beautiful, vibrant way that when you look back, you'll go, God, I taste and see that you are good. And there was order in every detail that you placed before me.